Hey everyone, Paul ASM. Welcome to part 2 of our Alpha Models 124 BMW M3 G80 video build. So it's a continuation off from part 1, which we got all the body all painted, decaled, clear coated and what have you. Today we're going to work on getting all the main parts for exterior, separate parts, interior, the wheels, and that all primed, painted up, in preparation for part 3, where we'll get it all together and get this wonderful kit finished off. Bit of a calamity this week, and I mean quite a calamity. This is the second time I've edited these videos, so a bit of a nightmare. I'll explain after the video, but yes, computers and what have you, nightmare. But anyway, let's jump into the build and get cracking on. We're going to start with some priming today. We've got some carboning to do, some interior work to do, some new leather colours from ProScale. So we'll jump in and have a look. Okay, so we're back on part 2 of our lovely G80 Alpha M3. We've got some priming to do today. We're going to get these parts primed, ready for carbon decaling. So we've got some Mr. Servicer 1500 black, which we're going to prime a multitude of the parts of. I'm not going to go into depth showing them all, but there's several parts to do. They also need clear coating, so we're going to 2K these later on as well. So we're going to get a nice base coat of the Mr. Servicer primer down to 1500 black, thinned about 60% with my stubby leveling thinner. And we're going through our iWater HPC Plus airbrush at about 18 psi. And we'll put down a couple of coats, building it up as we go. Like I say, there's lots of parts to do. Some on being carbon, things like this front grille are going to be gloss black. On the real car, they're gloss black. A bit of a point of... what's the word? Not controversy, but a lot of people don't like these larger grills. I don't mind them. It is what it is, just a change in style of the car, isn't it? But there are other parts that need carbon trim on them. There's actually quite a bit on some of the exterior parts, including the mirrors. So we'll have the fun of carbon in that as well. So the only parts that are actually supplied are for the roof, which you already put on in part 1. And there's 2 pieces for this rear spoiler. There's a top and a bottom for it. So we've got it held on precariously by one of the connection points on a bulldog clip. And we're going to apply the kit decal in place. So as we put in room temperature water for 20 seconds or so, comes off the backing sheet, get it into position. Then we'll hit it with the decal solutions from Ultimate Modeling Products. This is the strong. And get it on its way to getting it set in place. So using a good decal solution is very important. It will help settle the decal in place, get it to conform around corners. Like I said, there's lots of fiddly bits to do on this. I'm not going to show them all because you've seen it all before. But there is lots of fiddly bits. So cut the decal to the appropriate size. Make sure you got your weave going the correct way. This is the Tamiya carbon film of the smaller weave. Make sure you get enough overhang on each side to get it covered. Hit it with decal solution, let the decal solution soak in and do its job, and then apply a bit more and use the brush to help conform it. You can add a bit of heat to it as well. Don't go crazy on the resin bits because resin isn't the strongest material and it can break. So just really take your time and work around this systematically. On parts like this rear diffuser on the back, we're going to do this in multiple pieces. It's quite difficult to do this in one piece. So as long as you match up the weave, it's very hard to distinguish where it's actually been pieced together. So as you can see, we've got the normal and the strong on the bench now, which will help conform it even more at the end. Or sorry, the strong and the extra strong on the bench. I would recommend starting with the strong on the Tamiya. It does respond well to it. And then move up to the extra strong if you feel it needs a little bit more confirmation. Mirrors, I take great satisfaction in getting these done in one piece. They are quite tricky. So get the piece on so everywhere's covered. You've got enough overhang to get everywhere covered over. Hit it with some decal solution, let it sit for a minute. I grab some scissors and just cut it on the points where it's creasing naturally. Then hit it with decal solutions again and just keep working at it until it conforms over. With the cut in the carbon, it should just conform over itself. And with the pattern, it's very hard to spot where it's been joined. It is really hard to spot. So just work out with your decal solution nice and gently. Let the solution soak in and soften the decal. You can trim off any excess if you required, like so. And then just keep working at it until it's all pushed down like so. Nice and simple to do. Takes a bit of patience, a little bit of time, but trust me, stick with it and you'll get it in one piece. And if not, start again. There's no reason to worry about it. Just be conscious of the way the weaves go, and it's a satisfactory way. It tends to go diagonally across, never goes straight up or down. For mounting these for paint, we've got all the interior parts here ready to go. And the brakes and what have you, the hubs. We're going to put a hole in it with a 0.5mm drill bit. Some of the parts can stay on the pour stubs. Some of them need to be cut off separately. And then we can get a cocktail stick in there to hold it in place, and that'll make spraying really easy. You could use crocodile clips on sticks if required, white tack, wherever you find easiest. For me, drilling a hole and putting a cocktail stick up there is nice and easy because the holes are nice and secure. It's a nice sharp point to put in my part holder, and obviously they're cheap to use as well. So we've got all the hubs here as well. We're just going to leave them on there. We can touch up the parts later where they connect to the car. But for now, I'm just going to get them all mounted and give everything a nice coat of primer. On some of the parts, I'm going to get a razor saw because we've got large connection points from the pour stubs. So cut it off nice and gently with your razor saw so it's nice and flush. I think your sander of choice. Mine's a 220 UMP thinny stick to remove the excess, and repeat as and when required. So cleanup's pretty minimal on these kits. They are very clean kits out of the box. You just may find a few of the parts need cleaning up and the pour stubs cutting off like here, but it's quite simple to do. Just take your time, be careful, and just double check wherever you're cutting off isn't supposed to be there, because where this one is, there's a seat locating mount just there. And there we go, there's all our parts ready for primer. I'm mounting them in my U-Star part holder, which I've had for years now. Got 4 of these. They cost me about £6 originally. I must have had them for about 5 years now. They've painted hundreds of models, and I certainly got my money's worth out of them. Now I'm going to go through primer of all the parts. It's just Mr. Surfacer 1500 black, but I'm going to show the primer of the wheels and just a few of the other parts as well, just to show you what we're doing. But on wheels, get all the angles, do from the centre, do from the outside in, do from underneath. Just make sure you get all those nooks and crannies done, and the outer edge of the rim as well, because it can be seen if you're not careful. The chassis, we're going to paint Mr. Surfacer 1500 black and just leave it as is. It's not really a part that we'll be seeing very often. I certainly never see underneath mine at all. So I think this is the perfect colour for me. Get a nice primer coat on it. The Mr. Surfacer 1500 covers really well. Like I say, if you want to paint it, I go with LP5, semi-gloss black or something similar. But for me, the Mr. Surfacer will do just fine. On the interior, we've got a different colour. On the interior, we've got our ochre brown, which we're going to do later on in Pro Scale leather. So we're going to prime in Tamiya grey for now, just to get a nice, clean grey layer of primer down on everything. Again, lovely clean primer. No problems with this whatsoever. So just a case of going round. A couple of light coats of this will do. Tamiya primers do like to go down a little bit wetter, so don't be afraid to put quite a bit on. With them being a spray can primer, I do find they self-level nicely if you put a little bit thicker. We've got a lot of masking still on the interior. We're going to do a two-tone with Napa black and ochre brown leather. So we've got quite a bit of masking ahead of us, probably about 3-4 hours of it, to be honest. But I think at the end result, which you'll see in part 3 properly, will look good. So we've got Pro Scale paint, ochre leather brown. Here, this is obviously from my own company, myself and Simon own Pro Scale. So if you want to go to our website, which is now up and running, there'll be a link in the description of the video. You can go over there and order any paints if you want. We also do paints on request as well. But we're starting to get a good lineup of paints. We've got about 12 leather colours in there. Some metallics, some base colours from different manufacturers. And like I say, we do mix to order. So if you've got any colours you'd like mixing, hit us up. Give us the code and the colour name, and we'll see what we can do for you. But yeah, go check out our site, www.proscalepaint.uk. So beautiful leather colour. Literally the perfect leather colour for this car. It's a nice dark brown. And just light coats, building it up. We're not hosing it on. There's no benefit in putting this on wet. It does not want to go on wet at all. Just nice light coats, building it up. By the time you've done one section, you move to the other, it's flashed off almost and dried, so you can go over it again. But if you're in any doubt, do light coats, leave 5 minutes between each spray, and come back. And this is after the second coat. Now you can see the coverage is getting well. Just making sure we're getting all those little indentations and recesses there, all of them in the door cards, the door bins and what have you, to make sure the colour is consistent. And make sure you do along the top and along the back of the door card as well. And like I say, the seat at its first coat was put down for 5 minutes. And here we are for our second coat, just lightly building it up. Hardly any trigger pullback at all, hardly any paint call for. We're at about 15 psi, same on the back seat as well. And beautiful colour, covers really well, no issues at all. For the interior, we're going to have black carpet, so I'm laying down some Mr. Servicer 1500 black on this. And there we go, put all that to one side to dry, and in the meantime, we're going to spray our wheels. So this is bright aluminium from ProScale. This was before, this was literally a prototype colour. This was my first mix. And absolutely stunning colour, looks absolutely fabulous on this car. Really nice, finely pigmented metallic paint. A lovely colour on the wheels. On the other BMW, the F80, we did gunmetal. On this one, I fancied a nice bright silver colour, so decided to make my own. Really finely pigmented, really nice bright shiny silver. We're going to clear coat this later as well, and they will look absolutely fantastic when they're done. Like I say, make sure you get inside, in and around all the rim, all around the outer edge of the rim as well, I like to get as well. Just so you don't see any primer when the tyre's on its edge. And just check everywhere, angle it towards the light, and if you're happy, leave it be. And I thought, while the paint's out, we might as well use this for the light clusters on the back. And the exhaust piece as well. I just thought, might as well. It's a good colour. It will suit it perfectly. So a couple of light coats. You can see how well it covers over the black primer. Absolutely beautiful. Covers really, really well. Brake discs. We're going to paint the inside in Tamiya LP61 metallic grey, because we have photo etch discs to go on. So we just want to do the inside of the hub. Brake calipers were painted in ProScale Brembo Red. I don't have any footage of me painting them, unfortunately. I must have lost it. Bit of a calamity lately with the computer dying on me. But it's a nice colour we've mixed up. We've got Brembo Red and Yellow. So you can order those on our site. So several coats of that. We've got about 4 coats on there. We're putting the AM logo decals out of the kit on there as well. Like I say, just take your time with your decals. Get them in the right position. Hit them with some UMP strong solution, let them dry overnight, and the next day here we are with some Mr. Hobby Super Clear, giving them a clear coat. Now, we don't want to go too heavy on the first few coats. This is a hot clear coat, so you do run the risk of melting your decals. So a couple of light coats, building it up to a heavier wet coat at the end. I thought I'd do the wheels as well. I didn't actually plan on clear coating the wheels, but I'm glad I did because they look really good clear coated. So again, a couple of light coats, building it up to a heavier coat at the end. Photo etch, we've got some beautiful photo etch cross drill discs on this. So it's going to cut off all the P from the fret. We'll clean it all up with our Zuron photo etch shears. File it with our Tamiya PE diamond file. A couple of spots of Bob Smith's glue. Make sure you get the discs on the right side. They are front and back. You can tell the difference if you look at instructions. Doesn't take a lot of glue to hold these in place, so don't go crazy. Just build it up nice and slow. And there we go. We'll repeat that for the back as well. Once everything's dry, we've got our caliper and our hub. Refer to instructions, make sure you get the correct ones. You don't want to put the wrong ones on. I find it easier to actually put the disc and caliper together like this. You can cover up at the point where we cut it off the pull plug with the disc, the caliper, sorry. Then a little bit of glue on the hub itself. We can glue the whole assembly together. Make sure the hole is perfectly centered, and if in doubt, use a wheel to check that it's still all fit in place like so. Should be a nice snug fit, but it should go in just fine. Yeah, fits perfect, no problems there at all. And so the hub comes off, so that can be glued back in place. I've left these all as one assembly. The wheels aren't glued onto the hubs yet, but they are pushed in. And we're just losing our instructions and making sure we get this the right way round. And just have a quick test fit of all the hubs to check for ride height, tyre clearance and what have you. And it was all good. Hours of masking condensed into a couple of minutes. This took me about 3 hours doing this one morning on the live stream. We're using a mixture of 1, 2 and 3 mil Tamiya tapes infilled with 6, 10 and 18 mil. And we're going to mask off all the centre parts and spray them in Napa black. That way we'll get a nice contrasting colour. Hopefully add a bit more interest in the interior. And yeah, it's kind of what I had envisions for this. So we've got plenty of these leather colours in stock. There's about 12 in total, including a Napa black, which is a beautiful colour. We used this on the Daytona Violet F80 M3 we finished on ISM a few weeks back, or a week or so ago. And like I say, we've masked off all the tan, the ochre brown, and we're just spraying in our Napa black, getting all those recesses again, making sure we're fully covered, and along the top of the door cards and along the back as well. So a couple of light coats of that. We've masked off everywhere, all around the door, the seat controls, just to make sure we get that plasticky look or leather look. It probably is plastic on the bottom of this, but I've still gone with the leather colour because I'm not really all that bothered, if I'm honest. But it's a nice colour, it looks great. Have a quick dry for it at the interior. The black on ochre brown looks good against the Snapper Rocks blue. That's looking really good. So happy with that. Like I say, a little test fit is all good. So you have to put the dashboard on first, then the door cards in second. The rear seat goes in first, and then the floor pan with the the interior tub goes in last. You can see how it assembles there. That butts up against that. I'm getting some pictures for Facebook. I think it looks good. It's a nice interior. We've detail painted all the seatbelt buckles. We've got all the decals down on the dashboard as well, and there's quite a lot of them, including some carbon and what have you. As you can see, we've got badges for the steering wheel, so we've got a BMW badge which we're popping in place. Got the steering wheel controls. There's some carbon for the centers as well. Instrument panel. There's a bit. There's not quite as much as the kit box. That had a really decked out interior that looked absolutely fantastic, but there's enough on this to make it interesting. So just take your time and do a good job as you can. You say there are plenty in here. It's just the F80 interior was absolutely stunning. It did look really, really well. But there are some very, very fiddly decals, so really take your time here. Like I say, we've got some tricky little bits here and there of carbon. We've got the instrument panel. There's the carbon surrounding the gear lever as well. There's a front display too to put in place. The carbon trim. This goes around the gear selector in the middle. So we kept the parts separate. So I thought we'd get it all in place, get it conformed, fold it over, and then when we push the part in, we shouldn't have any issues with the decal. It should all sit in there as if it was a factory installed part. As you can see, the finger is a very useful tool at getting parts in. The M badges that came with the kit, I didn't really like them. I actually can't remember if it even came with any, to be honest. But I found these M3 logos in my Spurs box, so they've been put on the seats in the centre, like so. Rear seats we're going to detail up with some seatbelt material and some buckles as well. You do get seatbelt PE in the kit, but it's not very nice, so I much prefer to have my own ribbon. It just looks so much better, and it's really easy to do. It's just got the metal buckle on it, as so. We feed it through the belt. Like so, and then some double-sided tape on the back. We cut that to the right length. I have to say these Fiskars embroidery scissors are absolutely phenomenal for cutting ribbon. Razor sharp, absolutely perfect. We line up at the bottom, stick it to the seat. Make sure it's pushed where we want it. It needs pulling down a little bit, pull it down. Fold it over to the top, get a rough measurement where we want it. The old mark on eyeball does a good job sometimes, especially today because it was absolutely perfect. You can push it in place like so, and there we go. And like I say, we hand paint all the seatbelt buckles as well in Tamiya enamel X18 semi-gloss black. Nice and simple, and just adds a nice touch to it. Not something you can see highly visibly. You can on the back seat. Like I say, it takes a couple of seconds to do. It takes a steady hand. The enamel paints are perfect for brush painting, especially as we're going over lacquer, because you can wipe the enamel paint off to a degree. And there we go. Lots of PE parts in the kit, so we've got them all cut off, mounted up, ready for some photo etch primer, as you can see here. So a couple of light coats of this will give us a really nice base. It etches itself onto the metal itself and is a lot more resilient to chipping, peeling off, scratching off, and what have you, because it chemically bonds itself to the surface. We've got some grills in there, we've got the window wipers there separate, we've got the B-pillar door trims, we've got the BMW license plates, which will do the trick we've done on most of my Alpha models lately. We'll paint it black and sand off the upper areas, leaving them silver. The window wipers we assembled off screen. You see me do it dozens of times now. You don't see me do it again. And like I say, give everything a nice light coat of photo etch primer. Works absolutely fantastic. Spraying about 16 to 18 psi. Through my Iwata Revolution 0.3. We'll put a couple of coats on, let it dry for a couple of minutes between coats. Just make sure we've got all the coverage we want. And then once that's dried and been drying for a couple of hours, we'll get some Tamiya LP5 semi-gloss black and put down a couple of light coats on all the parts. Like I say, we've got grills for the front, number plates front and rear, the B-pillars. We've got some interior speaker grills on there as well. Quite a multitude of parts there to deal with, but quite easy to do. And like I say, use the photo etch primer. It makes them a lot more resilient to scratching, rubbing off, damage from tweezers and what have you. It really does make a difference. Like I say, a couple of light coats of this, and these parts are done. Mounted to a tongue depressor with some overturned Tamiya tape. Holds on nice and securely. Like I say, a lot of these are speaker grills like we're putting on here. So just need a bit of careful gluing in place with some Bob Smiths. So I like to use a cocktail stick, dab it in the Bob Smiths. This is the foam safe non-fogging glue. It takes a bit longer to dry, so it's good for working on small parts like this. Once you've got it, grab your part, be nice and gentle with your tweezers. Make sure it's orientated the correct way. Pop it in place. And there we go. That's those in. So there's about 6 or 7 speaker grills on the car. Go around for your instructions and get them all in place. The license plates, so we've painted these all in black. So they have some raised detail, which is basically the edge of the plate and the BMW lettering. So we get a 220 UMP sander. And we'll use this to take off the majority of the upper layer. It's a bit tricky to do, so figure out the best way of doing it, which for me is to hold it and just sand like that. There we go. As I say, all you'll do is take the upper layer of paint off, leaving the black in the recesses. I think it's a nice effective look. Every one of the kits I've made that has these has got them on like this. I just love the look at it. It's almost like a signature part of the build for me. And then once you're done, get a 400 just to smooth out any scratches on there. There we go, there's our number plate there. Nice and simple, quick and easy. We only need one. There are 2, but we're not going to put it on the front of the car because there's no real proper mounting point for them, but I'll show the other one done. Like I say, just some gentle sanding. Takes the very top layer of paint off, leaves all the recessed areas below. That's that. I think it looks really good. It's a nice touch. But obviously, you could paint this a different colour. You could hand paint the BMW and M3 logos in the centre. Or you could leave them off, or just leave them in photo etch. They still look good as photo etch. Your choice. Clear parts now. So these are the front light clusters, I believe. So cut them off the spray, so they could be the rear of these. Let me see in a second. So if you don't know, I had a bit of a calamity the other day, and my iMac died. The hard drive was kaput. I've lost everything off it. All my pictures, videos, thumbnails, intros, the lot. I have to redo everything. So painfully, the night before it died, I'd already edited this video. This is the second time I've edited this 12 hours of footage now. So, yes, I just sat today and re-edited it all again, which was soul-destroying. 3 hours work down the drain, and years and years and years of pictures and videos all gone. It wasn't backed up. It will be in future going forward. But I now have a nice new refurbished iMac. Thank you to my buddy Rich Blondin for sorting that. So I'm going to use that for streaming now. And for editing videos, I have a MacBook Pro, which I bought myself, brand spanking new, absolutely beautiful machine, and it will hopefully make my life a lot easier going forward. So thank you very much for the generosity, guys. You're absolutely awesome. Detail paint in the rear light cluster. We've got a nice demarcation line, so I opted to hand brush paint it using Tamiya X27. We've got some resin clear parts for the light clusters on the front as well. And there was some PE for these surrounds, but as we did on the F80, I'm going to use my Edding metallic paint marker pen to paint them on instead. It looks just as good, if not better, I think, to be honest, because it conforms properly to the part. The rear lights, we did 3 coats on in total. We just got a coat down to begin with, and then slowly built it up until we had appropriate coverage all round. So take your time there, it does dry pretty quick. And there we go, that is us for today. There we go, that's where we're at today. Bit of a sudden drop off there, but that's going to lead us on to part 3, which is also edited, ready to go as well. And we'll get this project done and dusted. It is finished, obviously it's behind me there. And it turns out wonderful, it really does. Make sure you tune in for part 3. It does look absolutely fantastic. So this week has been a roller coaster of just emotions and nightmare. My Mac's been playing up for a while now. This is my everything. It's my hub. It's how I earn my living, how we live stream, we edit videos, the lot. And it's been playing up for a while. I had to recover the hard drives a couple of weeks ago. It's been struggling doing things. Monday morning, it just decided to die on me. The hard drive died, and it wouldn't fire up, nothing. I've lost everything off it. 24,000 photographs, all my video intros, thumbnails, artwork from the videos. So you'll notice there's no intro on this. The artwork's different and things, because I just haven't had a chance to do it all yet. I'd already edited these videos. They were all saved and ready to upload. They got deleted because they weren't uploaded to YouTube yet. So this is the second time editing these videos, which is soul destroying, having to re-edit 12 hours of footage, but it is what it is. So yeah, the Mac died, unbeknownst to me the night before, because of having problems. My buddy Rich Blondin, who's a wonderful guy but crazy, had bought me a refurbed iMac, which I have now. It's a 27-inch, it's a good spec, and it runs flawlessly. So thank you, Rich. I had that like 2 days after this one died. And I went out and bought myself a MacBook Pro. My thoughts around this are, I will save the refurbished iMac for streaming and general browsing, and I'm going to use the brand spanking new, decent spec MacBook for editing videos solely. That way I keep everything separate, I can multitask without anything interfering. iMovie is a big program. Zoom takes a lot of resources as well. It can cause issues every now and then. Yes, I know I could get a PC. I don't like PCs at all. I like Apple. It works for me when it works. So a lot of investment there from myself and some generosity from Rich, which is absolutely phenomenal. So we're all back up and running, but I've still got to do all my intros, all my artwork, all the thumbnails, everything to get us fully back up to speed. But my main concern today was to get these videos back up and running. because without it, I had no content at all, and that was my main worry. So this is part 2. Part 3 is edited, needs a voiceover, and it will be out. But thank you, Rich, an absolute legend, and thanks for all the messages of support as well. You're absolutely fantastic. So yes, content will come now. I've got a lovely review to do. I've got a review of the Model Fatty Hero AC Cobra due out as well. That's down there. Another wonderful gift from PK. Thank you, buddy. So that will be reviewed in the next coming days as well. But yeah, a bit of a calamity this week for sure. It's been a nightmare, but we're back at it now. So, if you'd like to support these videos, help keep the content going, I've got a Patreon link down below. You can pick the applicable tier you want. There's all different levels. You can get exclusive videos, early access, reviews, how-tos. You can get added to a Facebook group, a Facebook Messenger group. You get a monthly live stream as well, which is next Wednesday. So there's lots of perks, and you keep this going because, like this, I had to spend money, and this is my job at the end of the day. So if you'd like support or help, there's a Patreon link down below. There's a Buy Me a Coffee and a PayPal link as well. There's links to everything else below to do with ISM and myself. There's the Facebook forum. There's Pro Scale Paintsman, Simon's New Business, there's UMP Retail. We've got all the links to Off Air Hangouts, the live show, the lot, and there's links to an email for me. My scale mate is down there, and there's links to all the products I use in all the videos. So there we are. Thankfully, this is the first video going up on a new machine, so thankfully that's good. And part 3, the final part, should be up in a few days. So thanks for bearing with me. Sorry for the delay. And there we go. Make sure you sub to the channel, click the bell notifications to get notified of all the latest videos. Give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment. I love reading all your comments. They spur me on. And as I say, thank you all for the kind support of everybody. Brilliant. Enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.